Okay. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, everybody. Jazakallah for joining on time to today's LA Jama'at Open Forum, specifically focusing on the Jama'at election process. We'll go ahead and start first with Tilawat by Dr. Sayyid Nawaz Ahmed.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذه إلا أن تغمزوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه وفضلا والله واسع عليم يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. These are verses from Surah Al-Baqarah, verses 263, 264, and then till 270. Translation is, they who spend their wealth in the way of Allah, then follow not up with what they have spent with taunt and injury. For them is the reward with their Lord, and they shall not have no fear, nor shall they grieve. A kind word and forgiveness are better than charity followed by injury, and Allah is self-sufficient, forbearing. O ye who believe, spend of the good things that you have earned and of what we produce for you from the earth, and seek not what is bad that you may spend out of. It is when you would not take it yourselves, except that you can connive at it. And know that Allah is self-sufficient, praiseworthy. Satan threatens you with poverty and enjoins upon you what is foul, whereas Allah promises you forgiveness from himself and bounty, and Allah is bountiful all-knowing. He grants wisdom to whom he pleases, and whoever he granted wisdom has indeed been granted abundant good, and none would take heed except those endowed with understanding. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, Dr. Saab, appreciate that. And my apologies to everybody. I'm not sure what had happened there. We all got kicked off and then rejoined. So Jazakallah for those who were able to rejoin right away. So Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Again, Jazakallah everybody for joining. The purpose of this open forum was to refresh members is the knowledge of the Jama'at election process, mainly because of this being a Jama'at election year. As some of you may know, the term is usually for 3 years. So the current Jama'at, local Los Angeles Jama'at Amla has been serving since 2019. And we are now in year 2022, or inshallah next year will be 2022, and that'll be the 3-year mark. These elections are somewhat a little different than the regular Shura election process that we all may be familiar with, that we have every single year. And so the idea was in anticipation of the elections that are coming up, which will most likely be held mid to late January. The time is still being decided. But the idea was to then refresh members' knowledge of the election process and what are mainly some of the prerequisites. This event is most likely going to be a series. This isn't going to be the only time that we talk about what are the requirements for elections, and there will most likely be another meeting to go more in detail of some of the rules and regulations specifically during the election process, but that'll be held closer to the date. Rather than telling it now and then a month or two from now, would forget those rules and requirements. We figured at least for now, we can go ahead and start with some of the prerequisites to even be considered as an election member, an attendee, or eligible voter for the upcoming Jama'at elections. And one of the primary requirements are those related to a member's chanda standing. And so with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to our very own LA Jama'at Finance Secretary Ramzan Chitala Saab to go ahead and review or provide us an overview of some of the rules and requirements as they pertain to chanda for the elections. Chitala Saab?
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah, General Secretary Saab. So as the General Secretary Saab just very beautifully said, that the one of the main condition or for to be qualified as a voter for election is that one must be at least must not be an area of Jamaat Lazmi Chanda Jar for no more than 6 months, and Chanda Jasa Salana no more than 1 year. This is the rules of Prerequisites. This is the requirement under Jama'at election.
Sorry for interruption, Jatala Saab. I think if we make it 2 segments, first segment, let us talk about submitting the budget, the importance and submitting the budget. And the second segment should be the election, what we are talking. So I think that will be more helpful. So let us make the section, otherwise it will be confusing if we talk together about things.
Jazakallah, that's exactly where I was coming to, that we have started the budget collection process possibly about a month ago. And we've been sending consistent reminders to all Jamaat members. Rule is that anybody, whether earning or non-earning, any member of the Jamaat over the age of 15 must submit a budget. And if they are earning, they will submit what their earning is. And if they are not submitted, they simply have to say that I am a non-earning, and with a $0 budget, that will be the budget they need to submit. So the budget submission process right now is very simple. It's a total 30-second or less process. We have been sending you a link for one to just click on that link, and that click will take you to our budget portal. And in there, it will ask you your member code. It will ask you whether you're Musi or not, and it will ask you whether you are an earning member or not. And if so, if you are an earning member, it will ask you what your annual take-home income is, and from there, computer will automatically calculate the budget for you. And for those members who are not able to, who are not technically savvy, who are not able to fill the budget request from the link, we're also providing everybody a regular Word document which has a simple form, and it asks basically same information: your name, your member code, whether you are a MOSI, and whether you are an earning member or non-earning member. The General Secretaries have just displayed this form, and this is very simply what it comes down to. We cannot emphasize enough that anybody from the age of 15 and up need to submit whether they are earning and not non-earning member. And this is the base of where the election qualification starts from. This is the base of what your chanda is. And we could go over into the later on that if I'm sure everybody, most of the members have heard a clip from Huzur Aqdas in this week with Huzur was going around last week, a week before. And in that also Huzur said the same thing, that one must submit the budget and must submit the budget on their correct income. If one is not able to fulfill their budget according to the correct income, they can write to Huzur and they can take a permission to pay at a reduced rate, but one must submit on a correct income budget every year when the budget is asked for. So this is I requested Muslim General Secretary today to go ahead and send that link again, and we sent that in all Halka chats. I just about half hour ago, I have sent out another email to all those members who still have not submitted their budget, and that email also will have the same link for you to fulfill to submit your budget. And once the budget is submitted, from there, the rest of the election process and qualifications and all that will start.
So male and female both.
Male and female both. Jazakallah, that is extremely important. And unfortunately, I am here to report that last year, about 400 some members did not submit their budget. And that's the year we're in. And out of that 400, about 300, more than 300 were our female members, our sisters, who did not felt that it was important enough for them to submit the budget. They still need to submit the budget even if they have no income. They will submit the $0 budget and no income, non-earning member budget. Jazakallah.
If Jitala Sahab, you done, let me elaborate this matter a little bit more.
Ji.
Give me a second. And, can I share my screen?
Jim Rabbi Sahab, you should be able to.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, Rabbi Sahab, we can see it.
Okay. What is there?
It's your Windows desktop.
Sorry.
So while Murabi Saab's pulling that up, then Jatala Saab, just to reiterate your comments, then you said, so the first thing is the budget must be submitted by all male and female members, correct?
Ji.
Okay, and the second thing is that it's for all members that are 15 years and older, irrespective if they're earning or not earning, all members 15 and up are expected to submit a budget.
Ji, Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You know, first of all, we should try to understand why the submission of budget is important. You know how Jatala Sahab has pointed out, this question was asked to Hazrat Amirul Momineen Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Aziz, and he answered for that. So Jamaat has to make planning for the coming year to running the affairs. So that's why budget is important. Obviously, when we see in the other job and other organizations, so whenever they make their plans, so budget is also part of that. So that's why in the beginning of the years, it is necessary to we submit our budget. So as it is pointed out, when we say submit the budget, it is mandatory for all of us above 15 years of age. So it has manifold purposes when we submit that budget. So let me not say budget, I'm using the word budget form. So when a student submit a budget, that budget form over 15, so he can explain what his profession. And when he, after a few years, when he again going to submit the budget, so might be his profession will be changed from a student to earning. So this is the one way to update our tajneed. So therefore, it is very important. Some people, don't care about the profession. So whenever we submit budget form, so I'm simply saying budget form, male and female above 15. So we should be careful. We have to select our profession. So whenever we select the profession, we should be careful. Some people, if they migrated from Pakistan to here, if they were doctor there and they come here, mentally they are doctor here, that's fine. But sometimes they're doing the other job. But they write there in the profession doctor. Whenever they write the doctor, so finance department try to determine their income according to doctors who earns here. Similarly, some people, they have their own profession, but after that they are retired. So they have to indicate there they are retired. Sometimes I receive from the headquarters some update about this budget and chanda paying. When I try to contact the people say, oh, so we are not nurse or doctor or this and engineer, now we are retired. But their profession is still shown there as engineer, as a doctor or whatever that is. Already they are retired. So it is very important. We have to carefully select the profession. It is very helpful for ourselves, also very helpful for, finance department. Next thing is, Hazrat Amirul Momineen Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Aziz very carefully, very clearly he explained how Jatala Sahab has pointed out. Hazur said, don't speak lie. Try to submit correct income. But same time, you have the right, you can get the concession, you write to me, I will grant you the permission. But don't lie and mention your incorrect income. That's very, very important. Obviously, budget is just on the estimation. So therefore, there's always the chance during the year, after when we submit our budget, if under some circumstances our income is going less or high, so that could be adjusted. So there's a provision. But in the beginning, it is very important, honestly, we should write our correct income. So afterwards, we can adjust, budget. So from my part, budget portion is completed. Here, we can ask the question if members have any question in this regard. So that should be clarified before we start the other segment, election part.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question or post it in the chat. I can start it off. I know Rabbi Saab and Jadala Saab, whichever one would like to answer. I know we have heard from some members about this budget process and kind of like what you were saying, Rabbi Saab, that it can be adjusted after the fact. Is there a process, or what is the process for adjusting your budget? Like, for example, right now, if you go to that budget website, it's asking for the 2022-2023 calendar year. And some members, they may have their own private businesses or whatnot. So it might be hard for them to give a accurate estimation of what their income would be. And of course, I know the guidance is, hey, put what you would, in good faith, believe it to be. But if they did need to adjust their budget, what is that process for adjusting the budget?
You tell us, please.
Yes, Arkham. So very simple. And if, like, for example, we are in year 21-22, and the budget for this was completed, budget form was received last year around November, December. So if the member feel at this point that their budgeted amount is, they are not going to be able to meet their budgeted amount because for example, if their income went down, very simple, they have to write an email to National Finance and copying me and send that request. And I can guarantee you, anybody who has submitted these requests previously has always gotten their budget adjusted according to the amounts that they submit.
Assalamualaikum. This is Wasim Bajwa. If I may ask a question, please.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So there are two things which Allah Sahab, I think, explained, that the the process to adjust or change the budget after you have submitted the budget, and that he explained that once you put in the budget number, and then down the road, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, if you want to change the process he just mentioned, write the letter. So that is understood. Second thing which Maravi Sahab, I think, mentioned, that Hazur has said that give the budget honestly what you're based on your income. And according to that budget, if the chanda due becomes more or whatever the number comes out to be, but you can't pay that amount which comes out due based on the income you have put in, then you can write to Hazur to reduce, to give the permission to pay less than the shara of the income he has put in. So I think that needs to be clarified. Or if that is what it is, then this is it.
May I say a few words in this regard? In the beginning of the year, now how this is the time now putting the budget figures. Now, maybe some people, their earning is good, their income is very good, but under some circumstances, some hardships, they cannot pay according to the prescribed rate right now. They should put their correct income, and same time they can write to Hazur, under these circumstances, I'm not able to pay, according to the prescribed rate. So in that case, he can also request, I can pay this upon this rate, so or this much. So that's fine. So that is the time you have the right. Hazur have given the permission, and when it will go to Hazur, obviously it will be approved. So, Jetala Sahib, if you want to add something.
No, Jazakallah Mawlvi Sahib, that's beautifully said. That's no, I do want to mention one clarification in it, that the writing to Hazur for paying on a reduced rate is for a Chanda Aam members, member who are not non-Musi. If they are Musi, that provision is not there. They could owe their money if they're not able to pay, but they still have to pay somewhere down the road to make up for that difference.
Well, I think in that regard, if I understood correctly, the excerpt from Mazur was that they can rescind, a member can rescind the wasiyat during the time he is unable to pay per the shara, and when and if he is able to pay, then he can reactivate his wasiyat. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, you're right, Bajwa Sahib, you're right. But I believe people don't want to take that route to cancel their wasiyat, to hold their wasiyat. Anyway, you are right. Any other question, please? You know, this way we learn each other these things. Don't hesitate, please. If anything comes in your mind, speak up, please.
Imam Sahib, the people who can write to Huzur Aziz are the ones who are not Musis. The Musis cannot write to Huzur.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're right. Only this provision is given to, you know, non-Musis.
Yes, so that is what Jawala Sahib clarified. That is true.
Because wasiyat is set by the promised Messiah alayhi wasalam. No one has the right to give any concession for the reduced rate. So only it can be suspended.
So it looks like there's no other questions now, so maybe we can go to the next part of the presentation.
So if Jitala Sahib, you allow me, let me share a few things, then you can elaborate. Is it okay?
Exactly.
You know, my brothers, when we talk about, you know, election is on 3 years base. So it is not just 1 year. So this election, which we hope that will take place the next year, that is 2022, and this is the time frame is July 2019 to June 2020. So 3 years, 2019, 2020, 2020 and 21, 21 and 22. So these are 3 years base. So we have to keep in mind, so it is not just 1 year base. So on the base of that, the chanda will be, you know, reflect a chanda payment. So the next item is when it is going towards, you know, 3 years. So this current year cannot be completed. Hypothetically, I'm suggesting here, so let's say up to end of February, in the beginning of March, we hold the election. So up to February, there will be 8 months from July to February for the current year. So if we have to check on the base of this 8 months, out of the 8 months, if a chanda payers, he paid for 2 months, remaining 6 months, that is a provision. So if he pays two months chanda, so he will be qualified, provided he has no any area for the previous years, for 30 years. So that is very important to understand. For this current year, 2 months is enough, provided he is not in the areas of the previous years. But in case he has the area previous years, so he will be defaulter. I'm giving the example here. Person A has budget, let's say, for example, 4,800 for current year. So on the base of 8, on the base of 8 months, so it is required for person A to be an eligible voter to pay at least 800 on the base of 48 for 2 months for current year. And he should not have any areas for previous years. So he will be eligible. If person A has paid 800 for current year, but he has some areas of previous years, then he is not eligible voter until he pays his areas. So this part is very, very important, because we are going to hold the election not on the base of 1 year or 2 years, it is on the base of 3 years. So that's, in that case, we have to take care of the 3-year chanda. One more. So that is other scenario. If a person B does not have any areas of the previous years, and he also has paid some amount in current year. He doesn't have previous year area, but he had paid some amount without giving the budget of current year. But he did not submit his budget for current year. He will not be eligible voter, because Secretary Finance cannot determine his budget. Only Secretary Finance for the current year, for the 6th month, he can determine on the base of his budget. If anybody didn't give the budget, it will be difficult. So anyway, up to this time, where are we now? So there's still chance. So there's still a chance for person B. Person B has still chance to become an eligible voter by contacting Secretary Finance. He should talk to Secretary Finance and determine his budget for current year. So when they determine the budget, on the base of that, he has to clear that budget for 2 months on the base of 8 months. For previous years, already he doesn't have the areas, he will be eligible voter. But here, work is left with the chanda payer. So he has to make little effort, talk to Secretary Finance and determine his budget, whatever that is. So, Jatala Sahab, if you want to elaborate, or if any question comes, you can answer.
Jatala Sahab, you're muted.
I'm sorry. No, Murabbi Sahab, you explained it very nicely. That is the case. So the budget is the base of submission of a budget is base of election qualification.
So if you allow me, I can clarify something here.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
What Murabbi Sahab said, that the current year budget has to be there, so Secretary Finance can figure out how much he has paid for the first 2 months and so on and so forth. So the window of putting budget online for this year has been closed. Now the budget online can only be done for the next year. So the only way a person B can rectify or can catch up with the submission of budget is to contact Secretary Finance for this year. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah Bajwa Sahab. And
I think Ramzan also has said something a few minutes ago that he has sent an email to all non-eligible members. That is
No, I'm sorry, Khan Sahib. No, I said that I sent an email to all the members who have not submitted the next year budget yet.
I see. So next year budget. Okay.
But Khan Sahib, what you are saying already we discussed in Majlis-e Amla, and the Secretary Sahib is trying to approach to those members who are apparently has some areas to remind them, because this is the time to remind them clear their previous areas or whatever remaining. So through that they can be eligible voter when election time will come. You know, before the announcement, we can work, we can talk each other, we can pay, but only after the announcement, it is not advisable. But this is the time we can encourage member to clear up their areas.
So Marabi Sahib, I have one quick question, that how a person B would know whether he has submitted the current year budget or not, and he needs to contact to Secretary Finance.
You know, person B, he's already paying something. When he's paying something, he's paying according to his own understanding. So when he's paying, he should talk to Secretary Finance. So I'm paying this much. So this much, on the base of this much my income. So in that case, settlement can be done.
No, I understand, but I'm saying, let's, for example, I have been paying, but I had never submitted budget online. So, and I don't remember whether I did it or I didn't do when the window was open a year ago. So how that person would know, or maybe you're saying that person being proactive should contact Secretary Finance to make sure that his current budget is in?
Yeah, yes, sir. When he's going to talk to Secretary Finance, so he will know all the details. So, you know, when we talk about the previous, I'm going to other side now. When we talk about the adjustment of the budget, sometimes some people, they have their areas and something happened and their income is go down, and they, according to the rule, they should try to contact Secretary Finance for adjusting their budget. But they don't try to even bother, even do any effort to talk to, to Secretary Finance for adjustment. And sitting at the home, they show no need. So if any person is that mindset, supposedly, so it means that is not good attitude. So in case, let's say, even for the previous years, a person is not able to pay off the areas due to the circumstances, coronavirus or job or this and that, so he should try to talk to Finance Secretary and try to adjust his budget. So, that way we can go along and fix our problems.
Let me also add one more thing in here, that as the respected Bajwa Sahib said, that how would somebody would know if they have submitted their current year budget or not. I have been mailing the member's statement every month, and that member statement would indicate if you do have a current year budget on file or not. It would show that if your budget is X amount and you have paid X amount so far.
Jazakallah.
it looks like we have Waleed Raja Sahab. Looks like you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. My question is, so far, if person is not in Chanda Aam, he's not earning and he's not in budget, he's not eligible for vote. So, but right now, when even we are in people who are not even earning, we are including in them budget. So are they eligible to vote even if they are not earning?
The eligibility for the election is based on the chanda payments. So, for example, a student who's only 16 years of age and does not have no income, and that person obviously will not be qualified for the vote in election.
I'm 27, so and I don't have a job. I'm still waiting for my work permit, but I submit my budget like as I got a mail. I mean, you have to submit when it's 0. So can I vote or not?
In that case, gentlemen, my brother, you have to wait for
Okay.
next election year.
Okay. Until I get a job.
Yes.
Starting paying chanda. Okay.
Yeah.
Jazakallah. Jazakallah.
Because this formula is made on the base of chanda pairs, election on the base of chanda pairs, according to rules and regulations.
Jazakallah, Martin.
But you have to submit that budget form. That's why I'm saying budget form. So
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to explain.
Yeah, I already submit. It's zero. It's obviously 0, but I submit.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Allah bless you.
Jazakallah.
Any other very good question? This way we understand and learn talking each other.
So Marib Sahab, there was 2 things that you had mentioned. One was arrears, and the other one had to do with the announcement of the election date. Can you clarify that the purpose of what we're doing now is to educate members, and finance department is sending email reminders, but what happens after the election date is sent and a notification letters have been sent to all voters that, such and such date is the election date? Is that the cutoff, or what happens then?
Jazakallah, Jazakallah. This is the time we have to educate our members. We have to encourage. So whatever their slackness, weaknesses, we should remove those weaknesses. According to rules and regulation of the election, so when election is announced, the date of election is announced, so people are discouraged to pay their chandas, because if that time any person is paying the chanda with the intention of that, so let me pay my area, so let me be the eligible voter. So that is encouraged. So for the sake of participation of the election, so people should not pay. But if regularly a person is paying and his chanda, so this is the time. So we should try to, let me say, this is the time we should try to educate ourselves. So this is time, please come up and pay the chandas.
Imam Sahab, Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir.
It seems like this is a new change in terms of election process, whereby areas from past years are calculated in the eligibility of the voters. Wouldn't it be a good idea that all those people who have areas from before, if they be notified by the Secretary Mal that you have areas from past years, and your deadline to clear these areas, whatever the areas may be, to this date, whatever that date is, so that there is no ambiguity of missing out perchance if they could not have paid the areas of the past years.
Jazakallah Khan Sahab, this is very important point. It has two parts. The first part, let me answer for the first part. It is not a new system. It is an old system. I know this when I was in elementary school. So my father was a president and my brother was secretary in my village. So I used to see them how they do this work, chanda collection. And sometime my father asked me sit with him, and in my presence he do all the things. So we know from our childhood, so what system, how system is exist. So when year is over, their balance goes to next year. But here, as you said, now we are implementing in USA the system. So obviously what you said in the second part, we are trying to remind, Secretary Finance is trying to approach to people and remind them this much you have the area. So please pay attention towards. We are doing that.
Yeah.
And this is other form, this our webinar to educating the members that way.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to add that Secretary Finance has already been sending emails indicating if you have any arrears.
Yeah, Jazakallah.
So I would like to add one other thing in here that, for example, if a person finds out that they have a previous year arrears of, let's say, $5,000, and then they calculate that, no, my last year, my income was not to the level where I could have owed $5,000 in my arrears, they can still send an email, the same process as like a budget adjustment process. They can still send email to Finance Department copying me, and inshallah, Finance Department will change that number to whatever the number member recommends.
Thank
Exactly.
you.
You know, the process is very easy, very easy, but only we have to, mindful, we have to do little effort. So there's always there options to fixing the problems. Any other question or comments?
Not that I see. And again, if anyone has any questions, please, this is your time to ask now.
Again, I'm repeating here, this submission of budget form, it is for all members above 15, male and females. Again, getting the next year budget, that is very important. We all should try to work for that. I'm suggesting and requesting very humbly how we can achieve collecting the budget form for new year. All the auxiliary heads, Lajna President, Sadr Khudamullah Madiya, Qaid Khudamullah Madiya, Zaim Ansarullah, they should also try to ask their members, they should make sure their membership, they have submitted their budget form. That is their responsibility as well. So please help all of us, we help and bring, up to the mark, all the Jamaat members by reminding them, by encouraging them, by educating them. It is not only responsibility of the Secretary Finance. Repeating again, very humbly, Sadr Lajna Imaillah in our Jamaat, here we have two Sadrs, Zaim Ansarullah, Qaid Khudamullah Madiya, they are equally responsible to ask their members and bring them up to the mark, let them complete that budget form. Addition to that, obviously, Secretary Finance and all the AMLA is trying to, achieve that target.
Speaking of budget submissions, Jadal Sahab, do you know by any chance how many budgets we've had submitted so far, and how many are we expecting still, and how much more work do we need on getting these budgets in?
Jazakallah, General Secretary Sahab. Unfortunately, I am embarrassed to report that number. Out of the 1,200 something needs of this Los Angeles Jama'at, only 166 have submitted their budgets for next year. And this is already a month and a half into the budget processing.
You know, the work is very simple. Process is very simple. If you go, you have to click. within a few minutes, you can do it. Only it depends on the priority. What is our intention? So therefore, we are requesting again and again, please try to pay attention towards this. Male and female, equally responsible. So please pay attention towards it. Any question, any comments from lady side? If they have any question, they have fully right to ask the question. It is not forbidden for them by Sharia. They can ask their question in this regard if they like to.
So it looks like not a question from a Lajna member, but we do have a question from Abu Musa Tariq.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Without offending anybody, and perhaps that it was already answered, but I just wanted to get some clarification. Even person who have done or part of the Musi or Alasiyat, they're also submitting budget, right?
Yes,
Yes,
everybody over the age of 15 is submitting.
Acha. And my follow-up question is, if you are in between a job, but you know what you have earned, what is, and there's an expectation of coming up job, what is the right number, the confirmed one or the one you're expecting?
Yeah, please use the confirmed numbers for right now, and keep in mind that your budget can be adjusted anytime. So later on, inshallah, when that number will change and your income will go up, you can always request a change into the budget.
Here, let me add something.
Jazakallah.
No, not yet, Musa Tariq, because you are under the wasiyat. So your case is different. So Musi's case are different. So they cannot adjust their budget just informing the Secretary of Finance. So their way of adjusting the budget is different. So in the end of the year, headquarters ask you to fill out Schedule C form. So that is the determination of your actual budget. On that form, you have to declare your actual budget. And so you have to work with that. So every year,
I have received that too.
You have received?
Ji Murubi sir.
Okay, that's fine. So it is the responsibility of the Musi, male or female, so complete that schedule form C. When you are completing that form C, it goes to Rabua, not only in the headquarters US, go to Rabua, and they send you back the letter. So up to this date, your area is clear. And if you have some balance on the base of what you are submitting in the form C, so they will ask you to pay the remaining balance. Sometimes, in some cases, you have paid excess to your actual income. So that will remain in your account as excess. So that can be, you can come bring in the next year. So Wasiyat Musi's actual budget is determined through Schedule Form C. So that is very important. It is the responsibility of individual Musi. If you don't send that, so your record will be not completed. It will remain, pending in the record of Marcus. So that's why, so we all Musi should pay attention towards it.
Jazakallah. So your suggestion is that I do complete from C, then I complete my budget, make sure that both of the number matches on the same number, right?
Yeah, when you are going to submit here on this portal according to your estimate, but when you are going to fill out the form of Schedule C, then you will know what is your income at that time. So could be different number. So when you are going to, there you have to write on the Schedule C form, this is my actual number. So if they're different figure, so simply you can inform to Secretary Finance. So gentlemen, so this is my actual income, which I have stated in Schedule Form C, might be in your record. Please, you update your record accordingly. So that's a very simple way.
Let me also clarify a little bit more on the same subject. The Schedule C is after the fiscal year is closed. The budget submission is before the fiscal year is started. Basically, two different things we're talking about. You need to do both. After the fiscal year is completed, you do need to complete the Schedule C. And before the fiscal year started or during the fiscal year, you need to either submit the budget, or if the figures need to be changed, you can request a change to those numbers.
Jazakallah for the clarification.
Yes, have any other question, comments?
Not that I see.
I'm surprised. तो आधी दुनिया बिल्कुल खामोश है, उनकी तरफ से कोई रिस्पॉन्स कोई नहीं आ रहा। हालांकि जो मस्तूरात हैं, अल्लाह के फजल से उनकी बहुत बड़ी इसमें कंट्रीब्यूशन होती है, बहुत बड़ी पार्टिसिपेशन होती है। मर्दों के चंदों की भी इन मोस्ट केसेस वो हिफाजत करती हैं, वो उनको पुश करती हैं, वो उनको रिमाइंड करती हैं। मुझे बाद दोस्तों ने ये बात बताई कि मेरी बेगम कहती है कि तो ये खाता आ रहे हैं, तुमने चंदा अभी तक पे नहीं किया। तो ये बड़ा ज़रूरी है कि मस्तूरात जो हैं वो ये ना समझे कि ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी नहीं है। और हज़रत साहब ने भी जब वसीयत की बात फरमाई थी 2004 आई बिलीव, तो जब वसीयत के लिए हजूर ने इनवाइट किया था कि वसीयतें करें, उस वक्त भी हज़रत साहब ने ये बात very clearly हजूर mentioned. So ladies have double responsibility. First of all, they should come forward and join Nizam Wasiyat, and afterward they should try to push their husbands, their sons, let them come forward. So in that case, obviously it is clear from Hazur's explanation, masturat, ladies have more role in towards that. So they should pay attention towards it, please.
So again, if anybody has any questions, please, there you go. Baj, what's up?
Marisa, I just like to add that ladies are not asking question. Maybe they don't have any, and they already know everything. Jazakallah.
Yeah. Most probably, you are right, sir.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, concerns, we could, I guess, go ahead and end the meeting. Jadala Sahab, is there any last things you want to remind members about, or anything from the finance department
Yes.
that we haven't talked about?
Just another humble reminder, anybody over the age of 15, whether they're male or female, whether they have income or no income, they need to submit their budget. Whether they're Musi or non-Musi, they still need to submit their budget. Please.
And Jadala
Assalamu
Sahab,
alaikum. Jazakallah. Jatara Sahab, do you have the numbers of how many ladies who are supposed to submit a budget and they have not submitted a budget as of right now?
So this year's budget, as I said, the numbers are so low right now that we are only up to about 166 so far. But from the last year's number, I can tell that 370 sisters who were supposed to submit whether the budget with income or without income, and they did not.
Okay. How many number, what is the total number of the LA Jama'at who's supposed to submit a budget?
It's about 1,000, it's 980.
Okay. So we are not even 20% of that number.
G.
All right. So maybe you could find out how many ladies who are 15 and above, regardless of their income status, they need to submit a budget.
G.
And then we can share that with our sisters. Although they know a lot of information, but looks like this information will be useful for them to, not only for their own purpose, because when they have a Jama'at, their auxiliary election, they will be needing this information. Otherwise, they will not be able to qualify for their auxiliary election. Is that correct, Murabi sir?
Yes, sir.
Take. Jazakallah.
Obviously, when I say yes, it means it is required according to the constitution of Lajna, as well as all the auxiliaries. I could remember maybe last year, Hazrat Amirul Momineen Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Aziz instructed the missionaries that they should read the constitution of all the auxiliaries. He said, it came in my notice. Sometime something happened in the auxiliaries, and which are not according to the Jama'at traditions. Even he said in some majalis, when they hold their regular meeting, so those meetings are not according to Jama'at traditions. So that instruction was forwarded to missionaries by General Secretary. I requested him, instead we ask the auxiliary, they should provide us, their constitution. He should get their copy of their constitution from their national, Sadran, and they should provide us. And he did that. And when I went through for some of the things, and it is obviously, I found that what Hazur said, that is the reality that is happening. And particularly about this chanda business, it is equally necessary for the auxiliaries. They have to pay their own chandas, and as well as Jamaat chandas. If they are in the areas of the Jamaat chandas, so they cannot be eligible for their own election. So it is very important. So auxiliaries have to equally pay attention towards Jamaat chanda along with their own chandas.
Jazakallah Murabi sahab. General Secretary sahab, if you want to conclude the meeting, that's fine.
Gee, Jazakallah Salih Saab. Nice to have you as well. Thank you for those comments. And again, if you aren't sure if you've submitted a budget or not, you can just search your email, just type in budget, and budget submission. You'll see an email there that says whether you've submitted or not. If you don't have that, go ahead and go to the budget website, which we've posted in this chat and as well in the WhatsApp groups. Submit the budget. It takes 30 seconds. Please, we're at 166 and we have to get to about 1,000. So I'm certain that there's somebody either within your family or someone or someone that you're close to that has forgotten to submit the budget yet. So please, if you could remind those of your family members or friends that aren't on this meeting, that would be very helpful. And with that, then Murabi Saab, if you would like to please conclude the meeting with dua, that would be fantastic.
Okay, Jazakallah. May Allah bless you all. And I hope, and let us pray. So may Allah enable all of us to fulfill our responsibilities, particularly in the connection of this, submitting the budget. So please join me in dua.